Okay, so today is September 13th, 2016. I want to welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Business Owners Mastermind Call. This is episode number 85, and we're going to talk about the truth about time management. My name is John Pyron. I'm your host. For those of you that are brand new to the call, this call happens every single Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Been doing this call for, well over 2.5 years, going into our third year. So if you want access to all the past calls, it's very simple. Just go to iTunes and look up the 10X Mastermind Group. You can also join us over on Facebook at the 10X Mastermind Group there, or in my Facebook page, which is John Pyron Coaching. Also, you can go to my website, johnpyron.com, and click on the button there called Podcast, and all the recorded episodes are right there as well. As always, if you ever have any questions about what we talk about on today's call, or you're listening to the recording, you can always go to my website at johnpyron.com. There's a button there called Schedule an Appointment. Feel free to schedule a 10, 15-minute conversation. I'll answer any questions that you have and see if there's anything I can help you out with. So lots of resources there. All right, so let's hop right on into it. Before I get started, let me make a couple of announcements. I'm going to be starting an Interview with the Experts series. Okay, I'm going to kick that off in October. So what I'm looking for and how you guys can help me out is any successful entrepreneur that you know, probably you, if you've been in business for any length of time and you've cut your teeth for more than 5 years and you've gone through the crap, just like a lot of us business owners do. It's not always peaches and cream when you're building a business, especially when you start to hire employees. It becomes fun. It becomes fun and challenging. I was talking to a client the other day and, just going through massive amounts of challenges and problems, and I was reminded of a key business principle, and that is if you're not creating new problems in your business and new challenges, you're not taking enough action or activity. So always remember that. Always remember that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Anytime that everything is calm, peaceful, you're not creating challenges, everything's running smooth, you need to get worried. Okay. That's just been my experience after being in business going on 26 years. Next year it'll be 26 years since I started my first business. And I can tell you from, after building 7 different businesses, that it's the times when everything is calm, everything is going smooth, that I look back, because hindsight's crystal clear. I look back and I go, those are the times I really needed to have my antenna up, because if I'm not creating new challenges and I'm not creating new problems to solve in my business, or my clients for that matter, I'm not taking enough action. And so if that's you, if you're showing up to the call, man, it's like everything is smooth, everything is peaches and cream, just understand that's the calm before the storm. So I was born in Dallas, Texas, and part of our training in elementary and junior high school was we would have tornado drills and what you should do in the case of a tornado. And I'll never forget the several tornadoes I was involved in. Everything's wind and the cloud changes and it gets dark and everything's going chaotic, and then there's this nice calm right before that tornado hits the ground. And then all hell breaks loose. So it's the same thing in business and in life. If you're a person that takes massive amounts of action, and you're taking a massive amount of action towards your goals and dreams, whether you're in business or in your personal life, you're always going to create new challenges and problems. The challenge that I see in working with a lot of new business owners is that, we avoid those problems. We avoid those challenges. And so, if that's you, just understand part of being a business owner, part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to face challenges. You're going to face constant challenges, constant problems. That is a good thing, because every problem is an opportunity. Every problem your client has is an opportunity. Every single challenge you go through is an opportunity for you to grow personally. So never avoid those challenges. Never avoid those problems. There's a really good book. My wife's reading it right now, and it's by John Maxwell, and it's called Failing Forward. Okay, Failing Forward. I believe John Maxwell is the author of that. Excellent book. Helps you put failing in perspective, because the only time you can truly fail is if you actually quit. Okay, let me repeat that. The only time you can truly fail is if you quit. And that's why I'm going to start doing an interview series with successful entrepreneurs, so we can all hear the challenges that entrepreneurs go through when it relates to building their business. So if you or somebody you know, if you would be so kind as to email me or direct message me or send me a carrier pigeon, however you want to get the information to me, I'd love to reach out to those people and set them up on that interview series. Okay? I was talking to a client of mine before we started this call, Joe Van, who's out of the Stockton, Modesto area. And she's a tax strategist for businesses. So we're going to do a joint venture webinar on tax strategies for business owners. All of you will get an invite, especially if you send me your email. So if you send me your contact information and send me your information, I'll make sure you get put on that invite list. It's going to be free, but it's something that's definitely needed for this time of the year. So we're going to make that happen sometime in October. Another thing that's coming up is this coming Friday, I'm kicking off a 6-month coaches mentorship program. So if you are a coach, or you know of somebody that's a coach that is not making 6 figures at least, they need to be a part of this program. Okay, I've helped hundreds of coaches develop 6-figure businesses, know exactly how to do it, how to help them get it going. The entire business is going to be established during that 6-month period. So have them go to my website, book an appointment with me, and I'll talk to them about joining that group. I'm going to limit it to 12. So only 12 coaches are going to be a part of that program, because it's going to be a very exclusive program. Last but not least, the benefits of being on the live call. So several of you are on the live call today. Now here's the benefit. And those of you that listen to the recording, the reason I'm going to announce this is you really want to be on this live call, simply because every single one of you on the live call can simply press *6 at any time. You know, you can interrupt me. I don't have any issues with being interrupted. Okay? And you can ask a question, get clarification on what we're talking about. This is a mastermind call. And the only way this call is very valuable is if you have a question and you're confused about what I'm talking about, or something comes up and you want some live coaching, man, press *6. There is no stupid question. The only question that is stupid is the one that doesn't get asked. Okay? So just keep that in mind. That's a big benefit on being on the live call. All right, so let's talk about truth about time management. Okay, is what we're talking about today. So what I've learned over the last 26 years is that there are some myths about time management. I remember in 1990, October 28th, 1990, I started my very first business. And my mentor at the time said, you know what, you need to get a Franklin planner. Okay, that's going to be the end-all, be-all. All of life's problems and challenges are going to be solved with the Franklin planner. So when I got my Franklin planner, went through the training, and it worked for me for several years. And then what ended up happening is I changed. Okay, I grew. I changed. Systems grew. Electronic devices came along. Smartphones came along. All kinds of different techniques for time management and productivity management and all that stuff has come along. So I've been through, hundreds of seminars, thousands of hours of audio content on time management. And I can tell you right now, most of it out there is bullcrap. Okay? You cannot manage time. Okay? Nor can you ever save it. Okay? I mean, time ticks away relentlessly in spite of our efforts to control it. That's just the bottom line. Okay? Here's the difference. We're all provided with 24 hours of time each day to use as we want. Okay? The key is, how do we use that time? Okay? We can either use it wisely or we can waste it. But we can never, ever, ever save it, because at the end of the day, it's gone. Okay? The only thing that we can manage is our activities. That's it. It's the only thing that we can manage. We can't manage time. We can't control it, any of that stuff. And so the first myth about time management is that we can manage it. Okay? Now, how do you manage it? Well, what I've discovered is as you change, okay, as you grow personally, the way you manage your activities, the way you control your time throughout the day is going to change. I wish I could promise you on today's call that I'm going to give you a system that will 100% work for you effectively, but I would be lying, because at the end of the day, every single one of us are unique. Every single one of us are different. Every single one of us have different personality types, different personality styles, different family situations, different business situations. You have to constantly look at, am I using my time wisely? And here's how you know. When you get to the end of your day, do you feel satisfied? Do you feel like, hey, I got the most important things done today? Or do you feel like, damn it, man, here's another day gone by. I didn't get anything I wanted to get done today. I got constantly interrupted throughout the day. And I still have a task that's a mile long. Okay? And what I've discovered is the power of having a good, rock-solid morning routine that I'm committed to, that I can stick to, that I evaluate. For me personally, I evaluate it every single calendar quarter. Did it work for me the last 3 months, or did it not? How can I tweak it? And if you just do that one thing, if you set up a quarterly appointment with yourself, the first day of every month, the last day of every month, whatever works, or last day of the quarter, or first day of every quarter, and you commit to sitting down for at least an hour and looking back over this last 3 months and saying, okay, did that routine work for me? Did it not work for me? Okay? If you go back to episode number 4, okay, of the Business Owners Mastermind Call, so if you go back to the iTunes channel or on my website, scroll all the way down and listen to episode number 4, I talk about how do you develop a schedule for success. Okay, very great call. It's something I've been using ever since I learned what a schedule for success was, and I tell you, man, I get more done in a week than I used to get done in a month. So let me explain what my morning routine is. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe you can take it and tweak it, but this is the very first thing. Anytime somebody works with me one-on-one, this is the very first thing that we put in place that helps them be more productive. So for me, it's 5 a.m. I get up at 5 a.m. So I have a set time. It's an appointment in my calendar. I get up at 5 a.m. It's about a half hour. I get up, take care of the biological stuff, make my coffee because I'm a coffee drinker, get everything situated, and sitting down in my favorite chair in my home office. And I have 2 books that I am typically reading. Okay, one of them is more on the spiritual side for myself, and the other one is a book that is going to help me learn a skill set that is needed for the goal that I'm going after right now. Because I get asked all the time, okay, how do you decide what books to read, John? And it's something I learned from Darren Hardy, the author of Success Magazine. And that is, I set my goals, and I'm usually focused on 1 or 2 goals at a time. And as I'm mapping out my action plan for hitting that goal, I'm looking at it and going, okay, what is the skill set that's missing? What is the skill set I need in order to succeed at this goal? And then I look for 5 books on that subject. I look for 3 audio or video programs on that subject. And then I'm looking for a webinar or a workshop or something that I can attend on that subject. And what that does is it helps me grow every quarter, okay, because I do this on a quarterly basis. And so that works for me. That's how I decide what books I'm reading. Okay, right now I'm reading the book called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. Okay, phenomenal book. The other book I'm reading is called The Art of Delegation, okay, because I'm hiring employees, and I've got a lot of clients hiring employees, and I'm finding that I need to get better at delegating properly. Otherwise, it just creates a ton of frustration for me. So here I am, 5 o'clock I get up. By 5:30 I'm sitting in my chair. I downloaded Kelly Howell. So her name is Kelly Howell. She makes some great meditation music. And most of her meditation music is without words, which is great, and they last about a half hour. So it's perfect for me. I put that on, crack open my book, and I'm reading for a half hour. And literally I'm highlighting, just highlighting the book, okay? At the end of the half hour, I go back and I look at the highlights that I've taken, and I pick one thing, just one thing that I've read today that I can take action on today. And that goes into my calendar, okay? And if it's something that's just a behavior type thing, I basically write it on a 3x5 card. I carry it in my front right pocket, so I'm constantly reminded throughout the day to read it, okay? Then once I'm done with that, I fire up my tablet, and I'm digesting video, okay? And so for those of you that have never looked at Cardone University, phenomenal. There are over 1,850 video modules there, training modules on every single aspect of business, every single aspect of sales, every single aspect of that, and I'm watching video for about a half hour and taking notes, and again, something that I can take action on out of that, and it goes in my calendar, or it goes on my 3x5 card, and that goes in my pocket. Once I'm done with that, go to my calendar, and I do a clean slate situation where I'll basically whip out a blank sheet of paper. Okay, for me, I have a journal, and I write at the top, how much money do I want to earn today? How much money do I want my business to earn today? And in order for you to find that out, it's very simple. You take the amount of money you want to earn per year. You're going to divide that by how many hours you're committed to work that year, and that's how much you need to make per hour. Okay? If I'm going to work 8 hours, times that by 8, that's my daily number. Okay? So I write my daily number at the top of the page. I open up my calendar, which I keep my calendar in Gmail, and I'm looking at the appointments that are already scheduled on my calendar. Then what I do is if there's anything on my calendar today that is not going to help me hit that number or help me hit my goal for that day, I'm going to postpone it or I'm going to reschedule it. And it's as simple as that. Either it's going to help me or it's not. Now, how do I decide that? It's very simple. We're in football season, okay? And every year I get reminded that this is what I need to be doing in my business. There is game time and there is game prep time, okay? So if I'm playing on an NFL football team, when the game starts, it's not time to figure out my game plan. It's not time to figure out what I'm going to do in my position on the team, okay? Quarterback can't throw the football down the field and then run down and catch it. Okay, quarterback has his specific focused activities on what needs to be done, and the rest is having a great team in place to take on the rest. And so for me, my game time is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if anything is not going to help me hit that goal today, it gets moved to what's called game prep time, which is after hours, Saturdays, early morning, whatever. Okay. And so I move that out, and what happens is it opens up several blank spots in my calendar. Then I look at my task list, and for me, I keep all my tasks in an application called Toodle Do. I love the application. It's like $29 a year, but I could put my goals in there. I could put my folders in there. My administrative assistant, my sales support person, they all have Toodle Do, and I can delegate tasks right out of my task management system. I have an iPhone, and whenever I think about something that needs to get done, the key is to keep your mind clear. I literally say, hey, Siri. She goes, yep. And I go, hey, remind me to call so-and-so. Okay, I'll remind you. And it automatically puts it into Toodle Do for me, so it never misses. And then in ToodleDo, I can take that task and look at the task and go, okay, does this help me hit my goal? And if it doesn't, man, I'm either going to delegate it or eliminate it. I'm not going to waste any time with a big old long task list. So here's the magic, okay? I take the most important tasks on that list that is going to support my goals, and I schedule those tasks as appointments in my calendar. This has probably been the biggest breakthrough I've ever had as it relates to activity management, time management, whatever you want to call it. But I take my most important tasks that are going to produce the most important value, and I put them in my calendar as an appointment. Okay? Now, how do you know what activities you should be working on? Well, it's very simple. If you want to make $500,000 a year, and you're going to work 40 hours a week, that's $250 per hour that your time is worth. So you got to ask yourself, this activity that I'm going to spend time on, is it worth $250 an hour? And if it's not, here's my suggestion. Find an assistant. Okay? Find either a virtual assistant, heck, hire them as a W-2. For most of us, we can get a part-time assistant for $1,000 a month, and we can take all the stuff that we spend time on that's not worth the amount of money we want to make per hour and give it to somebody else for a lot less money. My assistant costs me $18 an hour. So when I'm looking at my tasks, I say to myself, okay, my time is $250 an hour. Is this task I'm getting ready to put on my calendar, can I have somebody else do it for $18 an hour? And that's how I determine what goes on my calendar. So I only put the activities on there that can give me the biggest return. And then I map out my day. And then I go, take my shower, get everything ready, and I'm off to the races, man. I mean, when 8 a.m. hits, I am like rock and rolling. I'm just showing up to appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment. And at the end of the day, I have an end-of-the-day routine. I go back and I look at, okay, what are my biggest wins for today? Okay? What are my biggest wins? What did I get accomplished? And I feel so much more fulfilled, okay? So much more happier. Now, I'd love to say to you guys, hey, I do this every single day without fail, but I would be lying. There are sometimes days I don't plan. I don't do my morning routine. I sleep in or whatever, and I pay the price. How many of you have ever not planned out your day and then all of a sudden your entire day runs you? Well, that's what happens when you avoid your own morning routine. You're a business owner. It's your morning. You have control over how you spend your time. Okay? Another thing is, and I understand that because I follow multimillionaires and billionaires, and I pay attention to how they use their time. They have 24 hours just like you and I. How is it they get a lot more done and make a whole lot more money? And it's because of how they use their time. They don't waste it. Warren Buffett, the investor, he says, you know what? I pick 1 to 3 things that I can focus on, and those are the only 3 things I focus on. Everything else, I delegate to somebody else because it's not worth my time. And that's the key. That's the difference. So the key takeaway from this one thing right here is take a look at all the stuff you do in your business and ask yourself, what is the 1 to 3 things that I need to spend, that if I, the owner of the company, spend my time on, will give me the greatest return? What are the 1 to 3 things that I need to focus on spending my time on that's worth my time that will give me, the company, the biggest return? And everything else, man, you need to find somebody to delegate it to. Okay? And so get that book, The Art of Delegation. It will help you with that delegation process. Okay? So for me, it's very simple. Speaking engagements. So what I'm doing right now on this call, this would be considered a speaking engagement for me. Okay? Whether it's a webinar, a front-of-the-room talk, doing a joint venture speaking engagement. Those are all speaking engagements. in my business, the best use of my time is speaking engagements. Number 2 is one-on-one coaching, whether I'm doing a strategy session with somebody or dealing with the 12 clients. Well, right now I have 11, so I'm looking for one more. But typically I only coach 12 people one-on-one. And so either I'm speaking or I'm doing one-on-one coaching. That's the best return on my time. The last is editing or creating content. Because I found I don't want to spend my time editing content, and I don't want to curate that content. I can create it, but I have somebody else that edits it for me and curates it and puts it out there. Okay? So I've identified in my own business those 3 things are worth $250 an hour. And if I focus all my energy and effort throughout game time on those 3 things, I will hit my goal of $500,000 a year. Okay? So that works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Second time management myth. Okay? Is time management involves getting more done in less time. Now, believe it or not, check this out. Some people actually believe that. Okay? But effective time management refers to doing fewer things of greater importance, exactly what we just talked about. What are the things that are worth your time? And you should focus on doing those things, not the stuff that's not going to give you a lesser return. Again, too many of us business owners hold off on hiring help until it's too late. And then we get super frustrated because now we got to take time to train them. It's like I think it was Harvecker said, dig your well before you're thirsty. Take care of this before you need it. Okay? I mean, we cannot possibly do everything we want to do, or all the things there are to do, right? So, but if we prioritize what there is to do, and we focus on completing the priorities that we have to the exclusion of everything else, we will be more effective. Okay? So again, it's not about getting more done in less time. It's about getting the important things done and delegating to somebody else the lesser important things to get done. You will get so much more. Now, how do you know if an employee is effective? It's very simple. At minimum, when you hire a W-2 employee or you hire a VA, whatever it is you're paying them, and if it's a W-2 employee, you want to take so if you're paying somebody $15 an hour, you want to times that by 1.25. That's a typical burden rate, because you got to pay for the computer, you got to pay for the desk space, the lights, the office space, benefits, salary, workers' comp, all the taxes associated with it. It's about 25% is what an employee costs you. So you take their total burden rate. Okay, so if it's $15 an hour, it's $18.75 is what it truly costs you. Okay, times that by 2,080 hours, because that's how many hours there are to work in a year at 40 hours. And you need to here's the math. You get the annual rate, you times it by 2.5. That's how much more profit you should expect by hiring that person. Okay? If you've trained them properly and you're delegating to them properly. So good employees cost you money, okay, and frustration. But poor and lousy employees cost you even more. But you need to hire great employees that are great at what it is that you're wanting them to do, that they can do it way better than you. And so the rule is hire slowly. Okay? Hire very slowly. Make sure they are a right fit. Make sure that you follow up on their references. Make sure that you vet them out. And make sure that you train them properly, because a great employee will make you a crap load of money. It's like my client Anastasios, right? Hired his very first employee over a month ago. Okay? And we did the math on that. And I said, this is what you can expect in increased profits in your pocket as a result of hiring this one person. Okay? And so we took our slow, sweet time. We hired the person, properly trained the person, And, man, he's got that person cranking it, man. I mean, that person's busy. That person's billing 35 hours a week. We did the math on that. It's going to be an extra $190,000 in profit in his pocket. So this employee is not going to cost him a dime, okay? And we're getting ready to hire another one. Why? Why not? We can hire as many of them as we want, once you figure that out, okay? And so great employees don't cost you money, they make you money. But at a minimum, you should be able to see an additional 2.5 times their annual cost in terms of profit, okay? Next myth, to-do lists help get things done. That's bullcrap, okay? To-do lists do nothing to further a project or task. All they do is they remind us of, the things that are not done yet, okay? They're great for taking stuff out of your brain and putting it in a list. This is why I have To-Do. It's great to get it out of my brain and on a list, okay? But it's not how I operate my day. I have some place to capture all the ideas going through my head. Because if you're an entrepreneur like me, I'm on 24/7. 365 as a business owner. I'm constantly thinking of new things to do in my business, new ideas, new strategies. I should delegate this. I should hire this person. I should do this. I mean, it never ends, right? And so find a way to capture that stuff easily. So now you have a place where you captured all the things that need to get done so you can properly delegate it. But the key is not operating from a to-do list. It's like we talked about when you plan out your day, okay? Scheduling your time in your planner or your calendar as appointments with yourself will help get the things done that needs to get done, okay? To-do lists are intentions, okay? Pay careful attention to what I'm about to say. To-do lists are great intentions. Scheduled blocks of time are commitments. The key is disciplining yourself. Once it's in your calendar, man, it gets done. You show up. It's like a realtor. Every time I take on a realtor, it's always funny. I'll be sitting with them, coaching them one-on-one, and they're checking their text message or they're checking their email, and I say, hey, I'll pause. I'll literally just pause and stop talking. And I'll look at them, and I'll wait for them to finish doing it. I go, are you done? And they go, yeah. And I go, listen, you and I have an appointment for an hour. And while we're in this appointment, I'd appreciate it if you don't check your text message, if you don't check this. Yeah, but you know what? Somebody might be calling, for a listing. I go, let me ask you this. If you're sitting with a prospect running a listing appointment, okay, and you had a scheduled time to do a listing appointment with them, and somebody else called you to list their house, would you stop what you're doing with the current person you're in front of to take that other call? Well, no, I wouldn't do that. Then why do you do it with yourself? Okay? So that's why I want you to take your tasks and schedule them as appointments, and then keep the commitment you made to yourself and put yourself as a higher priority than anybody else. And what you're going to find is you're going to get a whole lot more done. Okay? So hopefully that deals with that myth. Next myth, people need a personal organizer, okay, or other time management system to get organized, right? So people are not organized because they use a time management system. That's the bottom line. They use a time management system because they're organized, okay? That's the bottom line. Another note here is personal organization involves breaking old habits and forming new, effective ones. It's a state of mind, okay? It literally is a state of mind, okay? And you know what's funny? My mentor, Dave Vanny, okay, been my mentor, started following him. He used to speak on stage in front of thousands of people. Started following him in 1991 and started personally coaching with him in February of 1996. And what's funny, he's always made, over $500,000 a year, since forever, man. One time he was making about $1.2 million a year, and I'm like, how do you get shit done, dude? And he whips out this simple yellow tablet, and he says it's very simple. I only keep focused on 3 things: how many contacts I make, how many appointments do I run, and how many sales do I make? And that's it. That's the only thing I focus on. And I get so much more done by focusing on those 3 things than you, John, get done with all your fancy, smartphone and calendar and all, email and all this stuff. And it taught me a very valuable lesson is some people are more organized using a 65-cent notepad than others are using a $65 organizer. So here's the deal. Is your system that you're using right now, is it effective or is it not? Okay? That's why for me, even though I whip out a blank sheet of paper every morning, I throw the sheet away after I'm done. But it's a very simple system I use to help me plan out my day, to create the appointments in my calendar. Okay? And so if you go back to a couple of calls, the clean slate system I use every day is very simple. It's the dollar amount I want to make that day. Next step is I look at my calendar, delete anything or move things that aren't going to help me hit that goal during game time. And then I look at I ask myself, okay, what can I do today? Who can I kick off the fence? What appointment can I follow up with? What can I do to hit that number today? And then I set those tasks as appointments in my calendar. And then if there's any time left over, stuff starts coming off my task list. And I just go balls to the wall throughout game time. If you follow an NFL football game, there's 4 quarters. Okay? And they're playing full out during those 4 quarters, and they get the job done. Okay? So that's my 2 cents on that. Next myth, a quiet hour, right, is a great time management tool, right? So, we've all heard this. It's like, hey, let's set up an hour block of time each day to focus and get stuff done. Okay? And during that hour, we're not going to allow any interruptions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And here's the deal. We can reduce interruptions, but we're never going to eliminate them. Okay? To be effective, we have to learn to work in spite of the interruptions. Okay? The other thing to realize is interruptions are not time wasters, but opportunities. Okay? They're opportunities that arrive at inopportune times. Okay? So never waste time on a good interruption. Okay? If that interruption is not going to help you hit your goal that day, here's what I do. Because I'll get interrupted throughout the day from my wife, from clients, from all this stuff, right? And all I do is I already have a game plan, and that is, it goes on a list somewhere, okay? Or I simply tell them, and a lot of you don't want to be rude, right? But I simply tell them, hey, I'm right in the middle of something. Can I call you back at 5 o'clock today? I'm right in the middle of something. Send me an email. I'm right in the middle of something. Can you send me a text? I'm right in the middle of something. Go to my calendar and schedule an appointment. Okay, it's okay to tell people no. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? I'm busy right now. I can't stop what I'm doing. Okay, set an appointment with me later. Okay, works very, very well. Okay, so don't ever make an hour block of time in your calendar to where, hey, I'm gonna, this is for, all the interruptions that I got done. This is what I'm gonna do. No, you want to maximize your time throughout the day. Okay. Next myth: keeping a time log to determine where your time is going is a good place to start. I can't tell you how many time management seminars I've been in where this is like the very first place they start. And I'm sitting there going, I am never going to do that. How many of you have heard that before and have never done it? Why? Because the time log it should be done last. not first. I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I'm busy. Okay, busy people get things done. All I need is more paperwork and interruptions, when I'm already inundated with them. Okay, so why the hell would I, start with a time log? Every 15 minutes record what I did the last 15 minutes. Okay? If I plan out my day properly and I have my priorities correct and I have my goals set and I have the right amount of support, I don't need to track my time. Okay? I'm going to automatically get stuff done. Okay? So instead, we should get organized first, adopt effective habits, schedule our time properly, and put into practice some time-reducing techniques and procedures. And once we have the time, if we ever have the time, we can keep a time log. It's like my buddy Jay Cuccia used to always say, right? He said, so many people want to get their ducks in a row before they take action. They want to have everything all lined up in a nice 1, 2, 3 order before they take action in their business. And what most people don't understand is get the crap done first, make a lot of money, and you can hire somebody to organize your ducks. Okay? Most business owners, we don't have a lack of reducing expenses or anything. We have a lack of income because we don't spend our time enough on revenue-producing activities. If you're a business owner, okay, and you're a solopreneur, I'll tell you right now the key. The key to getting yourself free is you decide what your game time is going to be, and the only thing you focus on during game time is revenue-producing activities. All the other crap can be done after hours. And truth be told, in the beginning of building the business, you're going to work your butt off 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And that just comes with the territory. But there is light at the end of the tunnel because by the time if you do what I'm talking about, in 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, you focus all your energy and attention on revenue-producing activities, you will make enough money where you can hire people to take on all the tasks that you're having to spend your evenings, weekends, after hours, missing vacation. You're going to be able to delegate that to somebody and get your freedom. Okay? So, I want you to get that message here today. Stop trying to do everything on your own. Okay? If you're a solopreneur right now and it's all you, your first goal is to generate enough revenue where you can hire a part-time assistant so you can get some of that valuable time back that you can spend on revenue-producing activities. That will more than double your business. Okay? I run across business owners all the time. It's like, no, I don't want to hire any employees. Okay? I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through the hassle of hiring employees. And basically all they're telling me is, you know what? I suck at hiring employees. I don't want the responsibility of employees. I don't want to take the time to train them. I don't want to take the time. I don't trust. And what happens is their business can never outgrow them. And they never have freedom, man. Never take a vacation. Never take a getaway weekend. Never do any of that. And so if that's you, I want to encourage you, man. Take the plunge. Everything changes when you hire your first employee. Okay? And for those of you that have employees, like I have a client right now that has 22 employees. Been in business for over 20 years. Everything's running smooth, right? There's challenges, sure. But it's like, no, there's stuff broken here. You just don't see it because you haven't taken time away. And so she's off to France, left last Tuesday. She's off to France until the beginning of October. And I'm going down there on Mondays to work in her company to figure out what's broken. My first meeting was last night. And I got to tell you, man, I'm glad that she's out in France because there's so much more to do to get her that freedom so she can go to France anytime she wants. Okay? And so definitely you want to, not waste your time on a time lock. Okay, next. Number 7. The biggest time wasters include telephone interruptions, visitors, meetings, and rush jobs. Okay? This is one of those myths that I always hear. Okay? And understand, these aren't time wasters. They are time obligations. Okay? They come with the job. You want to know what the biggest time wasters are? Biggest time wasters are self-imposed, such as procrastination, making mental notes, not getting this stuff out of your head onto a list somewhere, okay? Interrupting ourselves, okay? Searching for things, not having the right systems in place, so we have a Post-it note here, we have a Post-it note there, we have, this note here, we have this stack here, we have that stack there. All that stuff needs to be in a system of some sort, so you're not having to search around for things. One of the best tools ever invented, in my opinion, is an application called Evernote. Okay, if you don't not familiar with it, or you don't have it, I would get that. It's free. Okay, you can get the paid-for version, but heck, man, you can accomplish a whole crap load with the free version. It goes on your smartphone, your tablet, everything. And literally, it's searchable. Any photo you put in there, anything you put in there, okay, you can do a quick search and find it. Okay, it's a great place to keep everything because you can find it really, really quickly. Okay. Another big time waster is perfectionism. Okay. A lot of you out there struggle with perfectionism. I do from time to time. Okay. I'm not immune. I want to make sure everything is perfect before I take some action on it. And it's a big time waster. Okay? My marketing. Okay? I can do marketing. I hate doing marketing. Okay? Don't want to do marketing. Why? Because for me to do marketing, everything has to be perfect before I send it out. And I've learned that weakness that I have. And so as a result, I have somebody else doing my marketing, okay? So I hired a marketing coach, okay? And I meet with that person every single week, and it's all on her, okay? I tell her exactly what I want to get done, where my vision is for my business, where I want to go, and it's up to her to figure all that crap out, okay? Because if I have to get involved, it's a waste of time. It's not meeting the 3 things that I need to be spending my time on. Another thing is another big time waster is spending time on trivial tasks that aren't going to get you towards your goal. And we all know what I'm talking about here, because I'll do this from time to time, man. Is I'll be doing something, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I spending time on this freaking task? And I stop. I delegate it to Sherry, that's my assistant, and I make it now it's her responsibility. And I get back to doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my business. A lot of times we will spend time on these time wasters because we're not focused on our goals. A lot of times we'll spend time on these time wasters I just talked about because we're not focused on our goals. And one of the best things I've ever learned to keep track of my goals, to keep focused on my goals, is I write out my top 5 goals as if they've already happened every morning. It's part of my morning routine. I write them out again before I go to bed at night. It's the last thing I do before I go to sleep, so my subconscious mind works on it all throughout the time I'm sleeping. And during my morning routine, I do it again. And here's a key tip. We've all been there. We're going throughout our day, and there's something not right. Either we're frustrated, we're not on track, and we're not. We wanted to close this deal and it didn't close. A client called us and they had a problem and now they're going to fire us. Something derails us throughout the day. And one of the best things I've ever learned is I stop, I whip out a blank sheet of paper, I rewrite my goals out, my top 5 goals, and it snaps me back into reality. It snaps me right back into getting back on track. Because it used to be, something major would happen, a storm would come, it would take me out for 2 or 3 days. And then I got it down to where it would only take me out for a day, and then it would only take me out for a couple hours. Now it's about literally less than 2 minutes, and I can get back on track with that strategy. Okay? Understand, we are our own worst enemies. Okay? Being effective involves managing ourselves, not placing blame on others. If something's not going right in your business, it's your fault, not their fault. If you're not hitting your goal, it's not their fault, it's your fault. That deal didn't close, it's your fault, not their fault. Taking responsibility for our business and our goals will help us succeed. Okay, so that's number 7. Number 8, and this is funny, okay? It's more efficient to stick to one task until it's completed. Okay? So if that was the case, I would never get anything done. Okay? Now, it's true, I can only focus on one task at a time, because multitasking, it's a myth. If you think you can multitask, you need to read the book called The One Thing, okay, by Gary Keller. Okay? So it may be more efficient, but it's not more effective. Okay? So, because very rarely are you going to have time to finish that one task. Okay? So it's a lot more effective, and here's what I find. It's a lot more effective to break out larger projects into small 1 or 2 hour chunks and work on them for a brief period each and every day. Okay? So working on priorities literally involves frequent brief sprints, not occasional marathons. Okay, so if you're working on a big project, okay, the best thing to do is take that project, whittle it down to where you can take it in 1 or 2 hour chunks and focus for that 1 or 2 hours on that specific project, and every day you'll move it forward. Okay? So I've got a client of mine, Nitsa, right? She's a project manager, and she manages huge projects. And the way she gets these big projects done is she breaks it down into 1 to 2 hour chunks, and she just works on those 1 to 2 hour chunks every day, and then lo and behold, the project gets done on time, on budget. Okay? So that's number 8. Number 9, okay, we should have one planner for the office and a separate planner for the home. Okay? We should have, one calendar for work, one calendar for personal. And oh my God, I tried that method for years, and it sucked because I'm a business owner. You're a business owner. Our personal and business lives are so intertwined that we can't have, okay, I'm at the office, so I'm operating off this planner. Okay, I'm at home, so I'm operating off this planner. Okay? Both business and personal activities should be scheduled in the same system. Okay? And the biggest reason, here's the biggest reason. It's so business activities don't take precedence over personal and family activities. I can't tell you how many business owners I run into, and when we start going into legacy planning, right, we start going into developing an exit strategy. We start getting into the areas of their life that are sensitive that they don't want to talk about. How are you doing in your spiritual life? How are you doing as a husband or a wife? How are you doing with your kids? And what I find is because they don't make priority for the things that are important to them, their business ends up burning them out. And I've had a couple of companies where, thank God I had a coach, because I got my businesses to the point where I hated my business. And what sucked is I owned the company. And a lot of it has to do with is I'm so focused on business, I'm not making time for personal and family activities. And so the key is understand if you're a business owner, everything's intertwined. Everything's intertwined. Okay? So last but not least, time is money. We've all heard this myth about time management. Okay? Time is money. Oh, time is money, man. Time is money. Bull crap. Okay? Time is more money. Okay? Actually, let me rephrase this. Time is more than money. Time is life. Okay? We can always get more money. But you can never, ever get more time. It literally is an irreplaceable resource. Okay? Because when time's gone, you're gone. Okay? So you've heard, we all have, if you were raised in the 60s and 70s, okay, the middle class mentality is, go to work, get a good education, get a good job, and someday you'll magically retire. And let's put off having all the fun, going on that vacation, doing that getaway weekend. Let's put it all off until we're at the end of our days. And then what ends up happening is we don't realize, our life can be taken just like that. My wife has a friend named Jamie. And Jamie lives in Citrus Heights, California. And those of you that are in the Sacramento area, probably remember this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay? There was a shooting. Okay? This guy was like the guy on the block. Everybody knew him. He's the guy that coordinated all the block parties, a very great family man, owned the company. His wife was a nurse, and just 2 beautiful daughters. They lived right across the street from Jamie. And they got into an argument. Police came, okay? He came back home, got out of his truck. It appeared that he had something, a knife in his hand, and they killed him. They shot him, okay? His life got snuffed out, under 40 years old. He didn't wake up that morning going, you know what, I'm putting off. Only reason I'm sharing this story is when I talked to Jamie and got to know who the person was, and this guy had his priorities together, man. I mean, he spent lots of time with his kids, coached his kids' soccer team. They went on regular vacations. He made time as a business owner to not only get the things done in his business, but take the time to enjoy the rewards of being a business owner. Because, see, when time's gone, you're gone. Okay? We don't know when our time's up. And so the point is this. Get more effective with cranking it out. I mean, cranking it out Monday through Friday. Okay? In the beginning, when you're first starting out, like I said, you're going to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. But your goal should be to get it to the point where you can hire support, you can hire help, you can hire an assistant, that you can delegate the things that don't require you to get done, so you can start getting your hours down to where you can spend time with your family. You can spend time and invest time with your kids, with the ones that you love the most. You can go on that vacation. Okay? You can go on that trip that you've always wanted to do. You can do what my client Kira is doing. She's in France for a month. Why? Because she's got a great team. So I hope that clarifies the truth about time management. And I wish we had some time for some Q&A. Okay? I'd love to do a follow-up to this. I think what I'm going to do next week, so for those of you that are listening to the live call, those of you that are listening to the recording, I'm not going to teach next week. What I am going to do is I'm going to do live coaching, okay? Because we've had a lot of calls this year, and I haven't set aside time to just dedicate a solid hour to taking your questions, providing you coaching, providing you, any answers, anything that you want coaching on, okay? Highly recommend you show up to next week's call. Do me a favor, send me your challenge ahead of time via email. I'll call on you. I'll coach you through the process and help you out in any way, shape, or form. I hope this call has been valuable this week. Go out and make it happen. Go out and figure your morning routine. Get it down. Set your priorities. Write out your goals. And get a system that will work with you consistently, because here's the deal. If the system you're using right now is not working, my recommendation is to create a new system and get the help that you need to get that done. So go out and make it happen this week. I hope this call has been valuable. Send me a text on iTunes. Make a comment. Whatever I can do to help you, you just let me know. Have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.